we don't have capitalism. There's nothing remotely like it. We have various varieties of state capitalism, including the USSR. That was one variety of state capitalism, was based on wage labor, on management control, central coordination of production. In fact, it's in many ways very much like corporate capitalism, just this different kind of organization. So of the various kinds of state capitalism that are around, which are the best? I don't honestly think that's the kind of question we should be asking. Like suppose you're in the 18th century, should you be asking which is the best kind of feudalism? I mean, that's all it was, you know. So which is the best kind of feudalism and slavery and monarchy and so on and so forth? It just wasn't the right question. I mean, the right question is there something better, like, say, parliamentary democracy, even though there were no examples of it. And there were seeds of it, but there were no functioning examples. I mean, seeds of it had been developed and usually crushed, as in England, but these were legitimate struggles. And, you know, they succeeded. I mean, by now you have parliamentary democracies, which aren't fantastic, but are better than feudalism. Can you have, say, worker self-management in industry? I mean, I don't know of any law that says you can, you know, law of nature that says you can't, or law of history. And I think that'd be a lot better than management control. Those who work in the mills should own them and should run them, and should run them democratically. Is that so outlandish? And you can say the same about communities and so on. So why just take for granted that the forms of authority and you could say the same about sexism and racism. I mean, every society that I can think of has significant forms of sexism and racism, but we don't therefore ask, well, which is the best one of those? None of them are the best ones. We want to get rid of those tendencies. So I just question whether that's the right way to think about it. My guess is that most people are ready for it this minute, and that if the opportunity arises, they'd leap at it. I mean, I don't think they need us to encourage them. It's just that the options aren't there. For an individual, you know, for people in a plant to do it means taking a very serious risk. So the first risk will be that the Royal Canadian Mounted Police or whatever the counterpart is will come in and beat the shit out of them. You know, that's a risk. And unless they have community support, they're not going to get away with it. So it's a struggle. That's a class struggle. You know. But if you ask, you know, if you talk to workers in a plant, I don't think many of them would find this very hard to understand, that they ought to run it themselves.